I used to be real fucked up in the head, staring at the dancing wall all night, wondering if today would be rest day or if yesterday was really a figment of my past. They said you fell. And if I understand falling correctly, you should have gotten up, would have gotten up if you weren't lamenting your rest day yesterday, you fell. And statistically speaking, you had the possibility of getting up, but were too busy resting on yesterday when walls found me staring at its dancing, and I took another taste of the purple juice keeping me from falling asleep. You fell, love. And they said that you were thirsty, said that you were not moving fast enough, would not have fallen if you too had to release. And because you stood for everything, you fell for nothing. And if I read the report right, you should have never been alone. Would have never been alone if the people you were with honored the buddy system, made sure you were always accounted for. So I count the amount of times I've seen that same commercial, the same woman talking, the same woman inviting me to call a hotline I don't care for, but I cared for you and didn't call to say goodbye. Should have called to say goodbye, would have told you to stick to the buddy system. People die abroad all the time, and you, the sweetest thing I've ever known, cannot, should not, would not have ended life alone and thirsty if I had just paid attention enough to say goodbye. Up past recommended bedtime because sleeping feels like giving death my passport. Love and blessings.
In the place that I live. In the place that I live.
This is the Hey Spill, y'all. I'm back, it's black and I'm for real. This is the Spill, y'all. I'm back, it's black and I'm for real. Now keep your head up, girl, never let up, that's right. The spill is back, a voice to a consistent fight. My true queen standing to my left and my right, breakthrough. The power's in you. This is the spill. I'm back, it's black and I'm breakthrough. The power's in you. Welcome back, Sherry's. What y'all thought I was just gonna give up on the podcast? We are back with The Spill, your bi-weekly fill of the mental, physical, and spiritual happenings of the Black Queen and whatever else I want to talk about. And now I just want to get right in. I hope you all enjoyed the poetic piece that I shared with you all. That is a poem that is so deeply personal to me, and it's a poem that will be featured in the book of poems that fly out of my kingdom by the end of this year. I don't know where its journey will end itself. I'm just going to let it run its course and to continue to put in the work on the back end. So I'm super excited. So that poem is going to tie directly into the conversations that we're going to have today on Black girls and depression. So that is one exciting thing. And if you all also noticed the new musical opener, you all, I am no Mariah Carey. I am no Beyonce. I am just a girl with a mic that knows how to write. And I am going to be whipping it on you all. Last episode, I already filled you all in with how excited I am for this project, and I'm really hoping that you all take to it. The love and support that I have gotten so far has been so very encouraging, especially from my close friends and family. Thank you all. Thank you all. We're keeping this journey and pushing it forward. And so the musical opener, if you all recognize just the tune, it's to the Living Single soundtrack with the Queen Latifah. I remixed her words and added it and, filled my creative juices into it and used a different instrumental from a different one of her songs. But I hope you all enjoyed it, and let's get started. Today's sound off is specially dedicated to fake friends. Yes, you sitting in the corner, biting your fingernails, upset that one of the people in your circle has gotten the opportunity or the job of their dreams, and you're upset because you didn't get what you feel like you rightly deserved. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you who has a close friend, and I use air quotes very lightly with that, who has a friend who is going through some positivity in their life, but you kind of nitpick and throw all of the negative stuff going on in their situation back in their face. Yeah, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you over there picking your nose, trying to act like I don't see you over there. You who never congratulates the people around you and feel genuinely happy for them. I'm talking to you. And I'm especially talking to you over there. Yes, you. Don't turn around, because I am talking to you. The person who always finds a way to make every situation about them. I am talking to I'm talking to you. You want to make it about you anyways. So I'm talking to you, who somehow, some way, every situation seems to lead right back to them. I'm talking to you, the fake friends. And here's why I specifically want to address fake friendships. The fake love, the fake admiration, the fake happiness. Here's why I want to address this. As I've said last podcast, during the last episode, life is too fucking short for anybody to be in a space where they don't want to support the people around them. If you genuinely don't give a fuck about somebody, remove them from your area. Remove them from your space. Stop being friends with them. If you know that you all are not cool, if you know that everything that this person does bothers you and irks you and makes you want to throw a book at their face, get them out of your space. Clean out some of that negative energy, because it shows. We can see it on your face. We can see it in your fake smile. We can see it in your fake laugh. We can feel it in your aura. So we have to stop playing this game of having to have people around us even though we don't want them in our space. And I also say this because I've had some fake friends. If you listening to this and you was a fake friend of mine, don't be upset. Don't be mad. Don't be mad, because I'm not. I'm over it. But I say that to say that the people that I have around me today, those are people that I am genuinely happy for. I genuinely feel giddy and just share in their joy when they are chasing their dreams. For example, I have a really, really good friend of mine, Jasmine. Yes, I'm going to shout your name out, girl. So dance in your pants. Dance and be like, yes. But she just got accepted into the university of her dreams for grad school. I was so excited for her. Genuinely excited that she had gotten what she wanted and what she very well deserved. Now, when she had told me this, the thought that I had applied and hadn't heard back yet did not even cross my mind. Being in that space where the friendships that I have are friendships that are full of support and full of people that are genuinely rooting for you for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Rooting for you just cause. That's so important to me, especially in this space in my life. And I feel like it's something that more people need to do, especially when you get older. You want to have people who are there to support you when you need that support. You want to have people in your corner that when you're going through something, they notice. They notice you're going through something. And instead of turning their back on you and instead of making it about them, they make it about you. They make it their goal to try to push you forward and get you out of that negative space. So that's the sound off for today. If you feel like you're in a relationship that it's just a one-way street, you're giving more than you're receiving, let them know. Because some people don't know they do it. Some people naturally like to take, and some people naturally like to give. And there's going to come a point in time when one of those parties is going to say, you know what? This friendship isn't worth it to me anymore. And why crumble down a friendship when all you had to do was glue certain pieces back together? So we got to think about how we want to show up in the friendships that we're in. Are you that fake friend, or do you have that fake friend? You could very well be both. But let's be mindful of how we show up in those friendships, because we got to be honest with ourselves. Sometimes I haven't been the best friend that I could be. And I understand that, and I make note of that. So I move forward and figure out how I can make all my relationships better and how I can show up for the people around me. So let's stop with the fake love. Let's stop. Let's stop smiling in people's face whole time we want to take their place. Come on, y'all. So now let's get into the topic at hand for today. Black girls don't cry. Let's start to deconstruct that. And let's start to realize that that's not really true. We hurt sometimes. But how do we navigate that space? What does it look like when we're really in that moment? What does it look like? How can we ourselves recognize that, hey, something is off? How do I navigate this space so I can get back and move forward? So for today's topic, I wanted to meditate on the idea that black girls don't cry. It's something that I have personally experienced and seen just throughout my life growing up. Just this idea that black girls don't get depressed, or black people don't get depressed. You know, you're just a little sad, dust yourself off, try again type of deal. And a lot of times, a lot of people are sticking to this mentality that depression isn't real, you're just making it up, things like that. And it's causing a lot of people to be unable to navigate that space and sit in that moment and learn from that moment and grow. When I was growing up, I always had just this looming cloud over me. And it primarily stemmed from a lot of body issues that I had. And just a lot of the shit that people would say, like visiting family members and, going to like birthday parties and things like that. It was just a lot of shit said around me, like I didn't have ears to listen, that really took a blow to my confidence and self-esteem. And when you're a young girl growing up, it's hard enough being like the tallest girl in class, the thickest girl in class, the chocolate girl in class. It's hard enough navigating those spaces as it is. And, to add people, nitpicking at your weight and your height, it's a lot to deal with. And when you go home and it's not really any better. Not to say that when I went home, I was like verbally abused, because that's not the case, but I definitely wished I had gotten just more boosts of confidence. I remember being at a talk that a woman was having, and she talked about body issues as well, and different things of just being a black woman, and a smart black woman, and a powerful black woman. And I remember her saying that her mom filled her with all this confidence in the home. And it had become an issue because her teacher had pulled her mom to the side and was like, "Your daughter is just too confident. She feels herself too much." This is a child. This is when she was a kid. And the teacher was like, she's really full of herself. And I remember the woman saying that her mom told her, like, that's fine if you're full of confidence, because when you go outside into the real world, people will slowly pull you apart and break you down and try to get you to be lower than you are. And so if you already have all this confidence built out, if you lose some confidence, it's not gonna matter much, because you have all this confidence anyways. A little jab at your weight or a little jab at something isn't gonna hurt you as much if you know that when you go home, your mom's gonna fill you and reassure you, or your family is gonna reassure you of that confidence. And that really resonated with me, because I thought it was so important, like, to fill people with so much, because you never know if that smile that you put on their face, it means a lot to them. And so that's something that growing up, I didn't get it a lot. My parents worked a lot, and they're first generation immigrants. So I'm a second generation immigrant. I'm their first child. I have a brother and sister after me. And so I would just kind of assume the role of like a responsible adult at a young age. Don't know why I did it. I really have no explanation of that, but I felt like I had to just grow up fast, because at least I would have that strong sense of responsibility. And a lot of times I was just always sad, because I would take in everyone else's negativity, and I would constantly take it in until it was just unbearable. And it got to a point where it was unbearable, and then I graduated high school, and I was like, okay, I'm getting the fuck out of Dodge. I am going as far as hell as I possibly can. I'm getting out of Broward. I'm getting out of this negative ass space. And so when I went to Tallahassee, I was able to kind of confront a lot of those things and really understand what I needed in those moments. And what I needed was reassurance. What I really needed was support. Because I'm gonna give y'all an example. I remember going to New York, and we were going from Boston to New York, but we were passing New York to go to New Jersey. So it was a lot of bags. We were going with another woman, another one of my mom's family members, whatever. And I remember, I was, I'm assuming responsibility. I'm young, so I was like, I'm stronger. I'll carry most of the heavy bags. Long story short, we ended up getting lost in Chinatown while we were there. So here we are toting all this fucking luggage. And, it's hot. And so I sweat. I don't sweat disgustingly, but I sweat in my face. So, it was hot. Shit, what the fuck? I am toting 2 fat ass overstuffed Haitian suitcases. And I remember when we were lost, we ended up finding our way back to the terminal to go to New Jersey. And I remember when we got there, mind you, I did not know these people. These were my mom's family. Didn't know them from a can of paint. And when we got there, I remember the woman, she was like, the woman that I was with, who was with us on this journey, she made a comment to her daughter who we were going to visit. She made a comment and she was like, yeah, I'm sure she lost some weight with all of those bags that she was lugging around and all that sweating she was doing. I'm gonna let that meditate. I'm gonna let that sink in. She said that, and they started laughing, mother included. And I remember getting so pissed off because I was just like, are you all fucking serious? Like, are you serious? You all don't. And I remember my mom being like, well, she's just joking. Like, why are you making such a big deal? Mind you, I am like, this was before I went to college. So I am like 15 during this time, like 14, 15 years old. And they're all laughing. And I was just like, why do y'all find this funny? Like, first of all, I am toting y'all shit. And instead of saying thank you, you all want to crack fat jokes? And my mom was just like, why are you so upset about that? That's, it's not a big deal. She was just making a joke. And I was like, this is the problem. You all are constantly just making little jokes, and it's funny to you all, but in my, from my perspective, I am just the biggest joke. I am just a constant joke. Because even at that point, nobody had said, oh, you look nice today. Oh, you're beautiful. Oh, you're smart, you're lovely. Nobody had said that to that point. And if they did, honestly, I never received that because it was just more, the negativity outweighed the positivity. So when the lady at the talk, when she talked about her mom and her family filling her with all of that positivity because they knew when she went out into the real world, people would tear her down, I felt like that was important. And it really, really, really just spoke a lot to me just because I knew where she was coming from. And I felt that because that's something that I wished I had too. But anyways, to go back to the idea of Black girls not crying, it wasn't until college where I really learned how to go into a moment of reflection and understand, what made me sad and what I needed and what I needed from other people. Because I was also the person who, I gave a lot. I mean, I am a giver. And, I'm service-based. I work with youth. I volunteered since 7th grade. And so I am a giving type of person. I want to see other people happy. I want to see people smile. And it wasn't until college where I realized that like, I needed for people to make me smile sometimes and to do things just because, and to do things just out of the kindness of their heart for me and out of their love for me. I needed people to support me in what I was doing and what I wanted to do. And when I failed, I needed people to understand the space that I was in and the hurt and the anger that I had and be there with me to get me out of that. And for a lot of people, that's too much to ask for. It's too much. That's why I talk about the fake friends. For a lot of people, it is too much for them to be concerned about what you have going on. Anytime you have a friend who is just like, well, shit, I got stuff that I'm going through as well. For some of y'all, that works. For me, it doesn't. Because, we all have something that we're going through. But it takes nothing for us to be of support to somebody else. And so the biggest moment of reflection I had to have was when my friend Brianna had passed. And so that poem that I introduced this episode with, that is a poem that I wrote the day after I had found out about her death. And in that poem, I'm talking about this very, very vivid and scary, very scary episode of insomnia that I had. And now, just a little background on that, just insomnia in general. Um, it's For me, it's always been a moments where I am overthinking something. So I'll have I'll have mild moments where I have a big test or a big interview the next day, and I am spending the entire night going over what could happen in this interview before it happens. And I'm not sleeping. I am up wide awake this entire time. And my mind is just running like a mouse on a wheel. It is going and going and going and asking me questions I don't have answers to. And so that's like a mild moment for me. A more vivid moment, I want to say, is moments where it's something about death. Like if I watch something about, someone's murder or that someone died, and this is right before I go to sleep, I am going to stay up for that next hour and a half, 2 hours, replaying how it would have happened to them. It's weird. Some people, when I say this, they're gonna get it and they're gonna understand because they've had that moment and experience as well. But that's what like a heightened sense will be, where it'll just you're just constantly thinking about it and you're asking yourself questions that you don't have the answer to. And that's the scariest part about it, is because you don't have the answers, but you're gonna ask yourself them anyways. So that episode and that poem, that was the most heightened episode that I've ever had, because I found out earlier that day and I could not go to sleep until the sun rose the following day. So I was up asking myself, how could this happen? Who was she with? What was she feeling, right before she passed? What was she seeing? Was she in pain? Did she cry? Did she shout out? Who'd she shout out to? Was it like a movie? Did she die on impact? Did she die of dehydration? So I am on my bed, just asking myself all of these questions that I don't have the answer to, that I cannot answer, that no one has the answer to. But I am up and I am asking myself these questions constantly and constantly and constantly, up until I tire out myself when the sun comes up. And so that moment for me, I was like, I can't do, no, whoa, this is scary. I can't do this. I don't want to live like this. And so I remember in that moment, I just, I needed that. I needed some type of support that I just was not getting. I didn't have friends that really understood, or that I was close enough to really be vulnerable in that moment. So, I was by myself dealing with a lot of this. And that whole summer, going home, just, it was like when I left my apartment, I was putting on this act. I was putting on this facade, and I was going out and smiling and engaging with different people and, just trying to put on this show that everything was okay. Nobody knew, what I was going through. Nobody knew about, the things that I was dealing with, because growing up as a Black girl, I was kind of taught, okay, it's some stuff, You don't let the outside see. You don't see people, you don't let people see you sweat. You don't let people see you vulnerable. And so a lot of these teachings that I was getting just from the people around me, the conversations around me, what I saw in different representations of girls that look like me, that's what I saw. And so that's what I held on to me, that no matter what you're going through, you just keep it chugging. You are a servant of others. And so you can't let people down. And during that summer, I was volunteering in different community spaces. And so, and what was so crazy was that the day I found out that she had passed away, I was at a meeting with the youth because I was a mentor in a program. And I was at that meeting sitting there. And the whole time, it was like surreal. And I was like, am I really sitting here? And I just found out my friend passed. Am I really sitting here engaging in this space? Am I really going to be this person for these next couple of weeks? And when I tell you, I was just like, this is fucking crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. And so I remember reaching out to a mentor I have now. For those of you all who are just getting to know me, I have a lot of mentors. And I have a lot of people that I look up to and seek guidance from. And I remember going to one of my mentors and, telling him, I was like, you know what? I feel like I am not in a good space. This was probably like a week or two after her passing. And I said, you know what? I don't think I'm in a good space because I've been in this space before. When I was younger, I had a girl at my church that passed away. And she was only 15 years old when she passed. Again, don't know why she passed. I don't know what happened to her. They had just found her, like she was with her friends and they found her dead. And so even when I was younger, I was like, what? I was like, I don't understand. I don't get it. And the way that I coped with that was to just forget that she existed. A lot of people are going to listen to this and say, I know exactly what you're saying. But for those that don't, that was my way of coping. And that was my way of shutting my brain off and telling my brain, okay, stop fucking asking these questions because these questions that you are asking are now about someone that doesn't exist. So stop. And that's how I would get my brain to shut off. And I remember going to my mentor and saying, I don't want to do that with this friendship because this friendship meant so much to me. I don't want to do that. And he said, look, Deshelle, I got somebody you can talk to in the counseling services. Go talk to her. She's good. Just talk with her and you all talk through it. Talk through what you're feeling. So during that summer, I ended up doing that. And it was just the same. When I would go in and speak with her, I would just, I finally had the space to just, here it is. Somebody else carry this. Help me carry this shit because it's heavy. It's heavy. And all this stuff that I was holding on to, that shit died in that space. It died. And she taught me how to deal with those, especially as a Black woman. She taught me how to support myself in those moments and how to recognize those moments and learn from them. And I finally was able to get into a space where my brain wasn't asking me these questions. And I understood I don't have the answers, and that's okay. But what I do have is these memories. What I do have is what I learned from this person and from that experience. And so it's so important for me to make sure that I share certain things because you never know what somebody is going through and what they need. And just like I was talking about the fake friends, You never know what somebody is going through. And all you got to do is ask. That's it. All you have to do is ask. But what I wanted to is show people listening to this, okay, how do I navigate that space on my own? I'm a black woman and I'm going through something right now and I feel like I have nobody in my corner. Or I do have people in my corner, but I'm just not ready to be vulnerable to them because I don't know how they will receive me after knowing and understanding what I'm currently going through. How do I get myself out of that negativity? How do I learn and grow? How do I move forward with these feelings without just pushing them under the rug and forgetting about them and dismissing them and playing the game and wearing the mask? How do I do that? So that's what I want to talk about. How I coped in that space and how I continue to cope with things. Because as a black woman, shit is never silent. There's always something. There's always someone that needs help. There's always someone that needs a friend. There's always someone that needs guidance. There's always someone that needs strength. And me being a giver, I give all of that. And so when I recognize that I am in a space that's more negative than I would like it to be, I start to do some of these things that I will share with you all in how I cope. So the first thing I want to talk about is to feel it. Validate the feeling. When I was in counseling, that was the first thing that I had to do to even start, was to validate that I was sad, because during that time, I was by myself living alone. I had a completely different situation that was also weighing down heavily on me. I was in a living situation where, I had my roommate decided to leave and I was left to pay their half of the rent, and I ended up being financially in the negative. And so when I tell y'all that people go through shit, people go through shit. Like, they go through shit. So here I am, summer 2015, dealing with the passing of someone who was so supportive of me and so sweet and supportive of everyone around her. I am dealing with this person's passing and the ugly reality of how they passed in a death just so unworthy of the type of person that she was. I was dealing with that, and then I'm dealing with this person who, just whatever that situation was, I'm leaving that in the past. But I say that to say that I was going through it. So, I was drinking, and when I was at home, I was like by myself. And this is the summer in Tallahassee, and everybody knows Tallahassee summers it's already not a lot of people there because a lot of people leave and go back home. And so I didn't really have much things that I could do anyways. And the fact that I was going through all of these things by myself, it was hard to just navigate that space. So I had way too much time alone. But when I would go out, it was just, I had to put on this mask. And so I had to validate the fact that I was in a negative space. You have to validate it. You have to feel it. You have to understand. You have to go through that motion. Because if you try to run away from it, that's all you're going to do is continue to run away. You're not going to learn from it. You're not going to understand what you need. You're not going to understand why you entered that space in the first place. So you have to feel it, and you have to validate it. You have to. The next thing that I did was understanding what I needed and what I still need. And in that space, what I needed was someone to listen to what I had to say, and someone who could understand the questions that I had for myself and the guilt that I kind of felt in that space. Because I'll tell you all, one of the things that I immediately felt so guilty about was not being able to, say goodbye and to wish my friend a farewell, because I didn't know that she was going to study abroad until she was already there. And that was a huge ball that I dropped as a friend. And so that's something that bothered me for a long time. It bothered me and it still bothers me that I wasn't the friend that I needed to be in that situation. And that friend is gone now. And so what do you do now? Because you can't go back and be there. You have to continue living and dealing with the fact that you weren't. And so that's something that bothered me for a long, long time. And so I had to understand that I really needed someone to tell me it's not your fault. It's okay. We all mess up. It's easier to look at something in retrospect and see what you could have done than to have done it in that moment. We're human. And so I needed somebody to tell me that you're human. The next thing that I remember doing was talking to myself. Now, it's kind of weird because you think that you talk to yourself all the time. If you are going to admit that you talk to yourself, I talk to myself. I don't give a fuck how y'all feel about me talking to myself. I talk to myself all the damn time because no one understands you like you. No one. So that really helped me when I was coping, especially since I was, living by myself. And, I was in a town that, everybody had already gone home. So I didn't have a lot of people to talk to. And so I learned how to master the art of talking to myself. And when I talked to myself, I didn't just, when I'm talking to myself, I'm not just like, hey girl, what you doing? Oh, I'm just sitting here. Like, that's weird. Don't talk to yourself and respond. Like, that is weird. That's weird. But I talk to myself and kind of talk to myself as like an encouraging friend. Girl, you got this. It's going to get better. All right, now, you don't want to think about this before, you're going to sleep. So let's think about something funny. Let's watch some Martin, or let's do this, let's do that. So I had to learn how to encourage and support myself because I wasn't getting it as frequently as I needed it, as I knew I needed it. And so talking to myself and talking to yourself can help you cope because, you know what you're feeling. So you know how to counteract the negative thoughts you're feeling just by being a more positive you, okay? The next thing that I did was watching and reading something and then finding all the like ridiculous and super funny things that were involved. And so I would like watch different shows and watch different movies and things like that, and then start to think about what I would do different. And that really helped me because it kept me thinking about something else. And so I wasn't focused on the shit that was going on in my life. And of course, watching movies and reading, that is an escape in and of itself. And then kind of putting on a critic's hat while you're doing it, it really helps you zone in on this other activity, which it's like you're killing two birds with one stone. on the one hand, you're improving your critique skills and you're improving your skills of analyzing different texts and movies and whatever have you. And then on the other hand, you're also allowing yourself to free your mind, even just for an hour or, a day. You're freeing your mind of that negative space. And so, what you're doing with that, or what I was doing with that, was lessening the amount of time that I was feeding this negative energy. And along with that, and talking to myself, that also took on different forms because I would, on the one hand, kind of be like an encouraging person to be around all the time, but I would also journal and write. That, I'm a writer. So that hands down was something that I was taking seriously. And up until that point, I didn't journal, just journaling in my day. I didn't do that. I hadn't done that yet. And so I took that more seriously. And it was just a way for me to check in. Hey, this is what I'm feeling today. This is what I'm thinking about. This is what I'm discovering about myself or about this situation. And it really helped me continue to deal with a lot of those things because I was going through multiple things at once. And so it helped me dedicate literally different pages to different things that I was dealing with. And it helped me stop my mind from having all of this shit shuffled in all over the place to being organized thoughts that I can just look back at and answer those questions and figure out why I was feeling that way. And then, of course, writing poetry and fiction and things like that also helped. Another way for me to get my mind off of it and to write down what I was learning as I was learning it, which was really cool too. So that's important. Those are ways that I cope too. A different thing that I did was writing a letter to Pain and kicking him out. Kick that nigga to the curb, okay? Not to say that Pain is a nigga. Damn, I didn't even realize I just did that. But whatever. Or that he's a male. Whatever. You can have you. For me, it was a male. And it was a nigga. So, yeah, do with it what you may. But I wrote a letter to Pain and just, yo, you hurt me. Like, get into it. Because what you're doing is putting all that negative energy onto the page and just putting that shit to the side. That's something that has always helped, especially with my insomnia. It has, I tell you all, this past couple months, up to like this past year, journaling prior to that really helped me because I put all those thoughts on the page. And so it's caused me to be less stressed out because I'm no longer carrying that piece anymore. So writing a letter to Pain and getting rid of that negative energy and moving forward from that. And then, of course, talk to someone. Somebody, anybody. Sometimes your close friends aren't the best people to talk to. Sometimes your close friends are the people to talk to. It all depends on the type of person that you have around you. And there's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody in your life is meant to serve all purposes. We got to understand that. Different people in your life serve different purposes. If you don't have somebody to serve a purpose that you need at that point, that's the time where you have to seek it from somebody else, whether it be a counselor, a mentor, a therapist, whatever have you. In that space of negative energy and negativity, you have to find someone to talk to. And it's better when it's a stranger because you gonna drop all this shit on them and you gonna walk away feeling so much better. And this person may get paid to just take that shit and throw it away for the next client to come in. Because that is the beauty of counseling and therapists and things like that in the Black community, I found that it's just such a taboo for people to go out and get therapy, just like it's such a taboo for people to be depressed. And it's just like, it's not about having somebody know all of your business, because 9 times out of 10, they're listening to you and making you, feel good and asking you those questions in that moment, but they are not going home being like, oh my God, let me tell you. No, we need to stop. This is that I mentality. Stop that. People are put into your life to just shake it and to shift the energy. Sometimes the energy is shifted negatively. And sometimes that energy is shifted towards positivity. That's why it's up to you to figure out who you want to let into that space. The last thing I want to talk about for this topic, listen to others, because what they say says a lot. If you're really listening to your friends and the people around you, they will let you know without even realizing themselves that they want you to know that they are sad and that they're in a space where they don't know what to do, and all they need is somebody to listen. Not necessarily a shoulder to cry on, but somebody to listen and literally tell them, yo, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna be good. This is a terrible situation you're in. Those feelings are real, but you're gonna push through it. And I'm gonna be here to help you navigate and to help you learn and to help you continue to cope. And so it's so important to pay attention to ourselves and to others. Hey, Shayleys, the conversations we have at The Spill don't stop here. Please make sure you like and share this episode via Facebook, SoundCloud, and iTunes at The Spill. And don't forget to comment and share. I want to hear your perspectives and learn from what has inspired you and get a little inspiration myself. Stay connected with me on my website, Dashielle.ink. That's DASCHIELLE.INK, and get plugged into everything The Spill. Now let's get back. All right, Shayleys, we have reached the end of the show, but you already know we have a lot more in store before we go. So for the Haitian word today, we're gonna do sakapfet. All right, we've been talking about staying connected to our friends and the people around us, and so anytime you see that friend and you haven't talked with them in a while, sakapfet. What's going on? That simple phrase opens up so much room to fill the space between you and somebody else. That's just an easy phrase to just get a conversation going. Sakapfet, what's good? What's happening? Because that's going to give the person the leeway to share, hey, I have this going on, I have that going on, as opposed to saying hi and bye. All right, so sakapfet. Sakapfet. This week's motivation is going to be get out and journal. Get out and start writing things down. One of my favorite shows, Insecure, with Issa Rae, and just the colorful cast of characters that she has supporting her on that show. They do a lot of self-reflection. And one of the coolest ways that she does her reflection, and she was doing this since her awkward Black girl days. And what she does is she'll get on her journal, start writing a rap. And it's always an aggressive rap, right? So she writes her rap and she goes in front of the mirror and she recites this rap. And that's a release for her. Find what you can do to be as a release for the week. That's how we're going to stay motivated. Because once we get all of that shit out and on the page or within the mirror, whatever have you, once we get that aggression out, we can move forward and keep that week pushing. because we got things to do. We have goals to chase, right? Let's not forget about those goals we talked about last episode. So find your outlet. Find that means of expression this week so that we can stay motivated and keep pushing toward those goals, because 2017 has just started and we don't want to already push ourselves back. We want to move forward. Let this be the year of progression. Obama's leaving, but the time for change is always present. So let's keep it pushing. Let's push it forward. Find that space to let it all out. So the final thought that I have for today is, how do you want to show up in your friendships? That's what I want to talk about. And that's what I want our conversation to be these next few weeks. How do we want to show up? Who do we want to be in 2017 that we feel like we weren't, or that we wanted to before, but we didn't have the know-how to do it? So how do we want to show up? For me, personally, I worked a lot on being a supportive friend, but I want to be the type of friend that takes it a step further and will drive up to your house and get you out of that funk. That's the type of friend that I want to be. Not necessarily a more aggressive friend, but I want for the people that I'm around to not only know that I support them, but to know that I'm willing to go the extra mile for them, because that's how I want them to show up for me. So with this year, I want to make sure I'm going out to birthdays and I am shouting out whatever my friends are working on through the rooftops, because I want my friends to succeed just as much as I'm chasing success. And so I want to show up 2017 as a friend that was always willing to create time for their friends. Even when I get super busy, which I know I'm gonna get crazy busy this year with all of the projects that I have going on, I just want my friends to know that I will show up and I will always be there no matter where I'm at, no matter what I'm going through. If they have something that's popping in their life, they know that they can count on Deshelle, because that's the type of friend I want to be. I want to be a friend that is present and is there and is engaged and is open to sharing in their joy and in their pain. I want my friends to know that I'm someone that they can rely on and that I can fill a need that they have. Of course, I'm not Superwoman. I am no longer trying to fill those shoes for anybody. I ain't got time for that. But I want my friends to know that if in any capacity they feel that I can fill a particular need they have, I want them to know that I'm there for that. Because like I have always said in my circle groups, and I will always share this, one person can never fill every need that you have. Let's get that mentality out of the way so that we can move forward. No one person is going to be able to fill every need. And a lot of people try to find this super person, like the super friend or this super relationship where everything, like this person is all encompassing. And that's just like you're wearing the person out thin with your shit. Like you want them to be there when you're happy. You want them to be there when you're sad and you're going through something. You want them to be there when you're angry. I mean, come on. No one has time to deal with one person and all of their emotions, because that is like a full-time and then some type of job. So that's the just token that I have, and that's what I've been trying to work on, is understanding that I by myself cannot be all of that for any one person, and I cannot expect that in return. But if I do so happen to be the right person to fill those shoes, I want my friends to know that I am open and willing to be there and be their ally in any space. And so that is my final thought for today. And again, let's stay motivated this week. Let's go out and find our outlets. Let's find how we're going to deal with stress and how we're going to cope and how we're going to shorten the amount of time that we're in that funk. And walk around and tell, "Sak passe, sak fait. What's going on? What's happening?" Because I guarantee you that's going to open the doors for so many new connections. You all, this was The Spill. It's been great, and I'll see you all again.